So for problem 14 part A, they want us to take a look at this entire problem and they want us to develop a normal model. So let's see here. A normal model means that we need the mean to go in the middle. So that means we're going to put 80 right about here. And then we need to remember that we always go 3 tick marks that way and 3 tick marks this way. But now we got to put some numbers there. So let's see. The standard deviation is 20, so that means I'm going to take this and say 80 plus 20. That's going to be 100. 100 plus 20 is 120. 120 plus 20 is 140. Come back over here to 80 and start going this way, so I subtract. That's going to be 60, 40, and 20. Last but not least, I need to make sure that I label my axis here. So this is going to be cost. And how are we measuring it? We are measuring this in dollars. Now for part B, it asks, is it unusual to have a veterinary bill of $125? Now, this question of unusual is very important in the sense of a normal distribution. We don't consider something to be unusual unless it's occurring at one of the extreme 5% cases. So just to be clear about what that means. If I start here in the middle, based on the empirical rule, I know that this area right here in blue should be 68%. Like, we know that from the empirical rule. But if I extend beyond that and I say, okay, let's move to include the green right here, I know that the green plus the blue has to come out to be 95%. So right now, based on what I have colored in, this entire middle area, I'm going to do this in black, we know from here to here is going to be 95%. Well, if they're asking about this $125, $125 is going to be right here, or somewhere past the 120 mark. So the question is that going to be in the top 5% or not? Because remember, I said that it's in the 5% range. Right now, this coloring over here and this coloring over here are not dealing with the 5% range. They're dealing with 5% together. When I cut them in half, that means that this right here is 2.5, and this right here is also 2.5. So I can't really say that this is dealing with the top 5% of cases because that 125 falls within the upper 2.5%. So I'm not going to say right away that it's in the top 5% because it's only in the top 2.5%. And now that I'm thinking about it, yeah, that actually does mean that it would be unusual. So now that I've thought about it a little bit, I've also taken a look and said, wait a minute, think of it this way. If I were to just randomly pick any dollar amount in this normal probability, 98% of these costs, so 98% of the time, we're actually going to end up with something that's below this big blue line. So is this 125 abnormal? Yes, because everyone over here on this side is 98% of the data. So that basically means only about 2% of the time are you really going to see $125. So yes, $125 is rather unusual because, so yes, because 98% of the data, or cost, I should say, of the cost are below 125. So 125 is unusually high for the cost in this case. Okay. So now, what is the IQR for the cost of the standard veterinary services? Okay. That seems like it's going to be a little bit more involved, so I'm actually going to break that into a different video. So I will be right back with that.